Namaste and welcome to day 27 of 30 days of Appwrite. Today we are going to learn some tips to keep our Appwrite server in production in check, secure and manage it properly. So let us get started. First, we are assuming that you are using a Linux-based server to deploy Appwrite in production. However, the security principles that are discussed here as well as the Appwrite updates suggested here apply to any operating systems. First and foremost is you need to secure your server itself. If anyone got access to your server, no matter how secure the Appwrite is, you are vulnerable because they have inside access. So by default, the best practice is to always deny every service and then gradually allow only the services that are required to be accessed. And Appwrite, for example, considers this a default configuration. In Appwrite Docker stack, we only expose traffic proxy to the outside world. All the other services are handled internally by Docker. So following the same approach, you can use a firewall to block access everything other than the Appwrite's default port that you require. For example, if you install in the default ports, Appwrite require port 80 and 443. So you can allow access to only these two ports. And also, if you use SSH, remember to allow SSH in your firewall config, as well as for SSH, always use SSH keys instead of passwords because they are more secure and reliable, also very easy to use. Also, next thing that you need to remember is that most of the security breaches occur when the systems run out of date, insecure versions of the software. And we all know it's understandable that it's hard to keep the system up to date, and it's not viable to run updates on a cron schedule as security updates are best installed immediately. So use tools provided by your default operating system, like Ubuntu has unattended upgrades, Fedora has DNF automatic, these kind of things to run latest updates for your server so that your server or your system do not run out of date. Securing Appwrite, some of the best practices for Appwrite in production. And all of these can be easily configured using various environment variables that Appwrite provides. To learn about all the environment variables, you can go to the Appwrite's official docs in the environment variables section. First, let's look at some general environment variables. App-env, always change it to production. If you set it to development, the Appwrite server upon error will expose some internal file structures and internal details. We do not want that in production. App option abuse, enable. So if you enable this, it checks rate limiting for APIs such as authentication. App options force HTTPS. If you set this to enabled, it forces to use HTTPS connection so that the data transfer between your server and client is secure. And app open SSL key v1. This is a secret key that is used to encrypt secrets like sessions and password. Change this to something secure and random and keep it safe and back it up. If you lose this, you might lose files and even data in your Appwrite instance. Next, Appwrite console is the admin space where you can prepare your projects, you can create multiple projects, and you don't want it to be accessed by anyone that you require. So there are 3 environment variables that are available in Appwrite to restrict the access to Appwrite console. And from 0.8, by default, the app console whitelist root is enabled so that you can create only one account to access the Appwrite console. Once you create your first user, no one else will be able to sign up for a new account. However, if you want multiple users, you can disable the root whitelist and instead enable whitelist of emails or IPs to allow secure access to only people that you want access to the Appwrite console. Next, Appwrite comes with a ClamAV antivirus for scanning uploaded files in the Appwrite storage. So anything that user uploads will get scanned by ClamAV. In order to enable the antivirus, you need to set app storage antivirus to enabled and then uncomment the service in docker compose.yaml as well as make the Appwrite service depend on ClamAV. You can find the comment in the docker compose.yaml file to enable ClamAV easily. Also remember that disabling ClamAV does not actually compromise the Appwrite server. This is because Appwrite doesn't execute any files that are stored in the storage. However, it might compromise your users who are downloading those files. So it is recommended to use ClamAV in the production. Next, cloud functions. So cloud functions are resource intensive. So you should carefully customize them to suit your need in the production system. First, app functions CPUs. Set this environment variable to set the number of maximum CPU cores that cloud functions can use. App functions memory. Set this maximum available memory in megabytes for the cloud functions to execute. App functions containers. This is the maximum number of containers Appwrite keeps alive, which defaults to 10. You can increase this number to increase the number of WARM functions. Also, app functions runtimes is a list of available runtimes for cloud functions, and there are many different runtime environments. You should enable only the ones that you use. If you only use Node.js to write cloud functions, enable only Node.js. If you only use Dart, enable only Dart. You do not need to enable the functions runtimes that you do not use. This is all for today's episode. We learned few tricks and tips to keep our production system secure as well as manage it properly with the resource and requirement that we have. Thank you. See you again in the next episode.